Okay, welcome then to the session as we review the admin tools, EBSCO Experience Manager or EEM and EBSCOadmin for managing the new EBSCOhost interface for SHERIF library administrators. So we're looking at configuring EBSCOhost with these two tools, and I'll differentiate them as we go through this particular session. So to formally introduce myself, for those who've not met me or attended one of my webinars previously, I'm Richard Crooks. I work for the EBSCO Customer Training Services team. I'm based in the East Midlands in England. I'm a senior customer training specialist now with EBSCO for more than 14 years, in total more than 25 years in the library and information services industry, also being a chartered librarian, having worked in library and information services directly as well as in this training role. So glad you could join the session this afternoon. In terms of what we plan to cover, we'll look at the registration for these tools and the comparison of both initially, because you may wonder why we got two tools. EBSCOadmin was the traditional one, now we have EEM. We'll spend most of the time on EEM, so there'll be a live demonstration of that. I may start out with EBSCOadmin, but the majority of the time will be with EBSCO Experience Manager. And then also remind you of what training support materials are available to you guys, various other tutorials as well, videos that you can access that you can also share with colleagues who may be onboarded, of course, with these admin tools in due course. And if there's any other questions or answers that I need to respond to, any comments, I can do so toward the end of the session. So by all means, feel free to post any comments, questions, or feedback if you've used these tools before in the Teams chat. So first of all, we'll just look at a comparison of the two tools. So EBSCOadmin's been around for some time. It's the classic administrator interface. It's still going to be around for a while longer yet. For this, access and permissions are managed under EBSCOadmin security. So if you already have access as a site administrator, you're already authenticated, then you can delegate responsibility to other colleagues as well. And I'll show how to do that as we go to the live demonstration shortly. If you need initial access to EBSCOadmin, maybe you're just starting out in a new role, maybe you've been delegated responsibility for this, but you don't yet have your admin credentials, then you can contact our support team. But access is through eadmin.ebscohost.com. So EEM or EBSCO Experience Manager is the newer administrator interface. So you can access EEM through your personal MyEBSCO account if you have one. So access permissions are requested via EEM. And again, if you have any issues with this, please contact your local account representatives. So the interface is in development, so more features are coming. So it is what it is right now, and it complements EBSCOadmin, and you'll find more and more features and functionality of the interface will be managed in EBSCO Experience Manager. Probably aware that there's a big migration taking place this summer. In other words, we're transitioning the classic interface for EBSCOhost to the new interface for EBSCOhost by mid-July. So you may have already gone through that process. You may be going through it right now. So again, these sessions are to assist SHERIF librarians with these changes. We've covered EBSCOhost this morning with Sinel, and now we're looking at EEM and EBSCOadmin. So that is through experience.ebsco.com. That is the website for EEM, the newer of the two admin tools. So to access EBSCO Experience Manager, as I've implied, go to the website experience.ebsco.com. You can use your personal MyEBSCO account or create an account if you do not have one. So again, there's more information on the video that's included here, how to request access to EBSCO Experience Manager. So again, you see the credentials you would enter in the sign-in box there, or create an account on the fly as needed. So EBSCOadmin, again, you may be well aware of this. You may have used it for many years now. So it is through eadmin.ebscohost.com, and it provides access to key elements for managing your EBSCOadmin EBSCOhost databases. But again, increasingly more of those functions are managed in EEM, and we'll see a direct comparison between the two tools. So EEM looks like this. Again, we'll go there live shortly. So you have the welcome page, and then we'll spend the majority of time on the configuration app. So the second box showing there. So again, we're going to go through to that to look at various options for customizing the interface. So in EEM, administrators will find several apps. So I mentioned the EBSCO configuration app. This is where you'll manage settings for the new EBSCO user interfaces. That includes discovery, and it also includes, of course, EBSCO databases. So if you've got Academic Search Ultimate or Business Source Complete or Sinel Complete, etc. Authentication access can also be managed through here as well for patron access. So you can manage those settings. We also have the search box and URL builder. So you can create dedicated search boxes to your discovery service, to EBSCO's databases, etc. And also you can access this app, or access to this app is also granted to all users, so administrators with access to the EBSCO configuration app. So as long as you've already got access to EEM, you've got access to the configuration app, then you will have access to the search box and you're a builder. So not only can you create search boxes, you can also generate URLs linking to various databases, which can be potentially useful, of course, if you have an AZ list of databases or are thinking of creating one. So EBSCOadmin, again, you can set up one, click access to EBSCOadmin from within EEM. So you'll be able to do this once you have access to the EBSCO configuration app. So again, there's an option there to create a link directly to EBSCOadmin while you're in EEM. So now we're going to go through a series of slides comparing the various features that are maintained in either EBSCOadmin or EEM primarily. In some cases, maybe both. So the first one is the profile maintenance. So you can create and remove profiles. You may have an EBSCOhost profile. You may have access, for example, to Diomed, the clinical decision support tool. So we would have a separate profile for that. You may also have a profile for EBSCO Discovery Service. So again, this is where you create and remove those profiles. You may have specific profiles for the business school. You may have profiles, for example, for undergraduate students or possibly postgraduate students, PhD students as well. So those are still managed within EBSCOadmin, not in EEM. Likewise, you enable or disable databases. That's the access to the likes of Academic Search, Business Source, Medline, and so on, or even partner databases if you have Discovery Service and you may not have access to all that content. So then you can enable those that are relevant to you and disable those that are not. Again, that's managed in EBSCOadmin. In terms of your library holdings, you can also add, remove holdings within EBSCOadmin. We have the Holdings Management Suite, which basically manages the Publication Finder, Full-Text Finder service. So that relates to your journal subscriptions. If you're using the Full-Text Finder link resolver, for example, if you have Publication Finder as the front end, again, you'll be adding or removing holdings within EBSCOadmin, not in EEM. Now, the default search options, obviously, if you're still using Classic and you'll be using it for a while longer yet, a few more weeks, in fact, then you would manage those options in EBSCOadmin. So how you're searching, which landing page you're using. So for the Classic interface, it's managed in EBSCOadmin. For the newer interface, it is managed in EEM, EBSCO Experience Manager. So that would include the search mode, whether it's proximity or find all, limited defaults, and expanders as well. So moving on, additional features then, the default landing page. So for the Classic interface, you would set this in EBSCOadmin. For the new interface, then you would be using EEM for that. So that defaults whether you're using the basic or standard search screen, which is a single search box, or the multiple search boxes, which are part of the advanced search screen. Manage custom links, so you can update, remove partner and third-party custom links according to the profiles. So that's still managed in EBSCOadmin. Then likewise, you have the management of smart links and smart links plus. So you can enable smart linking and define sources for smart links plus in the applicable profiles within EBSCOadmin. So in other words, these are transferable links. So where you can transfer full-text links from an EBSCO database to another one, that is smart linking essentially. So it's done behind the scenes, but it's enabled in EBSCOadmin. Likewise, a Smart Links Plus, that relates to your online journal subscriptions. So again, those are managed in EBSCOadmin. And also the configuration of the Full-Text Finder Resolver experience. So for the Classic interface, obviously you would still manage it within EBSCOadmin, and then obviously within the new interface, if you have Full-Text Finder, then that will be managed in EEM. Okay, so just to clarify, I know there's a lot to take in here. We do have a handout, a features comparison, which I'll refer to in the PowerPoint later. So that is available to you, and I'll also probably email the copy of that document because it does give you the comparison in one A4 sheet if you like. So just to clarify then, in terms of a key feature that was released late last year, and which some are still asking about, the advanced search result list. So basically within EBSCO's databases, you can have the search history displayed on the results screen as it can currently be done within the Classic interface. So basically what it means is the 3 search boxes are maintained on the advanced search page when you run the search. The search history and combined searches are shown in the search history on this page, and then you will find results with additional metadata. So This requires certain settings in EBSCO Experience Manager to be done so that it's viewable, right? So if you are not seeing it when you run a search in Academic Search Ultimate or Business Source Complete, for example, or Medline with full text, then that's because it's not. If you don't see that search history when you're running an advanced search, it simply means that it hasn't been configured in EEM. So this is just a screenshot detailing the two areas we'll look at live later. The default search landing page should be advanced. So you select the custom radio button and select advanced. The alternative is standard. And then on the subsequent area, so advanced search results page, you would also select the custom radio button and select advanced there as well. So in both instances, it must be advanced for the search history to be displayed when you run a search on the advanced search page. So moving on then with other comparisons in terms of managing full text finder linking, that is still done in EBSCOadmin. So this way you review assignments, you manage the settings, and you organize the full text finder result links in Holdings Management. So Holdings Management is the tool that sits within EBSCOadmin that has not been transferred to EEM at this stage. Configuring publication finder, so I mentioned that earlier. So the actual interface, so the branding, the search and browse options that you have, the ability to choose a subject schema like general headings or medical headings or Library of Congress classification, these are all managed in EBSCO Experience Manager. So essentially the back end is managed in EBSCOadmin, the front end is managed in EEM. Then there's the branding, so again, and customized navigation. So for both areas, they're managed in their respective admin tools for the respective interfaces. So for classic interface, for the branding, it's managed in EBSCOadmin. That's your corporate colors and so on, logos, default placeholder text, etc. If you're still on the classic interface and still using it for navigation, if you want to add, update, or remove delivered navigation elements that appear on the interface, again, these are managed in EBSCOadmin. And for the newer UI, it's in EEM for branding and customized navigation. Okay, and finally then, in terms of report statistics, so if you're interested in tracking or analyzing how users are accessing your resources, which login method, what the usage is for your subscriptions or your ebooks, for example, that's still within EBSCOadmin, within the reports and statistics section. So that's not in EEM, it's in EBSCOadmin. So key part of EBSCOadmin is the report and statistics. So for usage reporting, and that includes counter applied statistics as well. EBSCO integrations, so you can enable and configure custom placards, enable relevant product spotlights, and also enable and configure a custom link list for the new user interfaces. That is managed solely in EEM now. And for third-party integrations, likewise, so if you want to enable integrations with SpringShare, LibKey, chat services, and more for the new user interfaces, these are managed within EEM. In contrast, if you want to configure integration with Blackboard, Canvas, for example, Moodle, or Schoology, these are handled and managed in EBSCOadmin. So again, there will be a summary that you'll be directed to and also sent detailing those elements. So that gives you a snapshot, if you like, of the two tools. And again, we're going to focus on EBSCO Experience Manager. First of all, we will go to EBSCOadmin to begin with and just point out a few things before we move on to EEM. And you should see in a moment the EBSCOadmin dashboard. So I'm using the customer success demo site for part of our departmental demonstration, as it were. So we've got the site here. I mentioned, for example, reports and statistics. They're here, of course. There's a separate tab for that, and I won't go into too much detail about this particular page, but just to highlight the things that are there that you can see for yourselves. So again, this is still managed within EBSCOadmin. It's not included in EEM, the newer tool, but here you'll find, for example, standard usage reports, analytics, counter reports, full text finder reports, ebooks, for title usage reports. The top search terms reports gives you an idea how users are searching your databases, your discovery search, for example. So it gives you a word cloud detailing the terms used. And then you'll find there are reports that are downloaded or scheduled as well. So again, I won't go into detail on this, but just a reminder that report statistics are still needed and used within EBSCOadmin for tracking usage of your interfaces, and that would include the new interface as well once you transition to it if you've not done so already. Now, I mentioned EBSCOadmin security, so I'm just going to go there now. So that's the top right toolbar, and this is where you can identify site administrators. Again, I'm using a demonstration account, so I've got my EBSCO colleagues listed here. If I just pick on one of them here, or just go to the EBSCO demo one and go to roles, this will show you the kind of roles for this particular administrator, as it were. So you can see there are 3 columns: read only, write, or none. So none means that option will not be visible. So in this instance, authentication will be off limits, as would customized services. However, this account does have EBSCO admin security rights and also book selector and some other elements there. So again, you can see that there are options to configure the access to various roles within EBSCO admin. So again, if you're a site administrator, you probably have right access to the majority of these things here. So you can make changes, particularly for authentication, customized services. However, you may wish to delegate responsibility for the likes of holdings and linking management, or even reports and statistics. So again, to do that, you would just go to Add New Administrator, choose whether it's consortium or site administrator, most likely, add the name, which would be the person's name. Also, you can choose the site, if it's multi-site as well. User ID, usually initial and surname, email address. And when you submit that, the person that you're delegating or making a sub-administrator would then receive notification and then could set a password for access. So if you have admin rights, in other words, if you're a site administrator and you can access EBSCO admin security, then you can also delegate others to take care of responsibility of certain elements of EBSCO admin. If I go back to customized services, and I mentioned the fact that for enabling databases, for example, you need to use the databases tab here. So again, make sure you're on the right profile. This is a EBSCO's profile here. So if I click databases here, then you'll see this is the databases, and this is where you can disable them if they're no longer applicable. Maybe you upgraded, for example, this one has Academic Search Premier. Maybe you've upgraded to Academic Search Complete or Ultimate, so you disable it here, and then you'd go in and find it, the correct one. So for example, this is Ultimate, you'll then enable this one. Okay, so again, the enabling or disabling of databases is carried out within EBSCO admin. So you want to make sure that your subscriptions are up to date in terms of what databases your users can actually access, etc. Okay, so again, I'm not going to go to all these elements, but just wanted to point out that element in particular, as well as reports and statistics here. So, and of course, holdings management is here as well for the management of your library holdings. And that would also impact the publication finder interface in terms of what users can find within that, and also how the link resolver or full text finder is linking directly to publications that you subscribe to. So again, those areas are still maintained in EBSCO admin. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is switch, and I'm going to go to EBSCO Experience Manager. So you should now see that. So this is my welcome page. I've signed in, and you can see we've got this just brief explanation of what this is about. It's basically the gateway to access your EBSCO administrative applications. Now, this will be the future ultimately. At some point when EBSCO admin is decommissioned, that's some way off yet, then this will be the way forward most likely. So you can see you can configure branding, labels, and more. You can set integrations to third-party resources, and also access training and information to support EBSCO products. So I just want to go through some of these elements, but before I do that, just to scroll down, you'll see there's additional resources. EBSCO Connect takes you to the main support portal. The status page, if I just click on that, that gives you an update about operational systems. If there's any issues going on, if there have been any previous issues, you can scroll down and see that. Sometimes it's just maintenance, other times things are being reported. Okay, so again, the dates are given there, and you can also subscribe to these updates. So if you want to be alerted to any operational issues, rather than check this page, you can be alerted in your inbox by subscribing to it. In addition to that, EBSCO.com takes you to more information about the EBSCO products and services that we provide, and then release notes takes you to what's happened recently, any changes to services. So again, some handy links there that you can link to find information that you need to know at that time. Now, again, to go through each of these elements, I will spend more time on the configuration app, so I'll skip that for now, but I will go to authentication and access. So again, this is configuring how users access your products, and it has two areas: authentication. So I can edit here. You'll see we've got the user group. So you may have different user groups. The main user group is the kind of main body of users. You may have an alumni, you may have a test group as well if you're trialing different resources. Notice this has got clever single sign-on there, so probably not applicable to yourselves. It may not be. Again, you can click on EBSCO Connect there for more information. The Access option allows you to configure a Find My Organization. So you can edit here, and basically allows users to search for a library, school, or company and log in to access your resources. Okay, and then they'll be prompted to authenticate with the normal method. So again, you can configure this. You can see the institution name here is Customer Success Demo. It could be your university or college. You can add the other details, not essential. I've got the address here for this one. If you scroll down, you can add aliases. So for example, this may be known as C Customer Success, for example, not just Customer Success Demo. And then you can add acronyms as well. So again, you may have, different university acronyms for your institution. If you think of MIT in the US, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, students will intuitively look for MIT, maybe then enter in the full name. So therefore, it's good to have those options because they will then be recognized by the system that you are going to the appropriate account, as it were. So again, you can add aliases or acronyms to ensure users can get to your resources through Find My Organization. So I don't want to spend, again, this is not the focus of this session, but I want to highlight those areas. Now, in addition to that, we have, if we go back, the EBSCOadmin link here. So you can link to EBSCOadmin once you've configured the app here. So again, once you've got an account and the configuration app is there, then this will also appear as a tile, and then you can configure access to EBSCOadmin. So that'll give you one-click access to get to the admin tool, which, as you see, is still needed. Then there's the search box and URL builder. So basically, you can customize search boxes and URLs for your products. And if I go to my next area here, so I'm going to just drag this away and go to this one. So you'll see it gives me a range of products. Okay, so these are alphabetically listed, and you check the product that you want to set up a search box for. So for example, if you go to EBSCOhost here, click build, and the first tab is the search box builder. And you can see a preview of the build above. You can choose the appropriate profile. So the profile here, this is EBSCOhost. I can switch to others if I need to. And then preview the build, I've got a default profile, so I can choose, I can select databases if I wanted to, and so on. But I can then make changes to this. So for example, if you think of the placeholder text, if I put the EBSCO's databases, I could just add research databases, for example. And you see now the term research is then added in the search box. So the preview is really detailing what users will see. So for example, I can include full text. And you see now there's a limiter there. I can also include peer reviewed. So I'm adding these two limiters to the search box. So again, once we generate the code for this, these two limiters will be part of the search box. So again, they can be hidden. You can have them on by default. So by essentially then with the search box, if I run a search, it's going to bring back full text content only, essentially. So you can, change these. You can show the advanced link as well. So again, you can direct users to the advanced search page as well from that search box. Again, it may be something you want to place on your library website. It could be an internet page, a staff website, whatever it might be. You can include a logo as well. So I've got the EBSCO's logo now included here. So again, it does preview what you should see. Natural language search as well. That's the AI-powered tool that we use. So again, that can be included as well. So again, you can configure the search box. Once you're satisfied with that, click Create Search Box, and then it'll generate the HTML code. So you can either copy that or download it as needed. So you may want to send it to your IT team, for example, unless you have the skills, the ability, the capacity to do that yourself. But basically, it generates the HTML code for a search box based on those options that you selected. So that's one option if you want to embed a search box within your library web pages or other sites. And then there's the URL builder, the second tab there, which is where you can create links to given databases. So for example, if I go for, let's go for another one here, scroll down. If I go for Business Source Ultimate, I select this one, and then I can create a URL to this database. Okay, so you can see here, and I can copy that URL, and that can be embedded on a web page. Maybe an updated link, maybe you've upgraded from Business Source Premier to Ultimate and you need a new link for it, etc. Okay, and there's the advanced search page as well. So if you want to default to the advanced search page, you can, and copy that as well. So again, these are URLs that you can create. Of course, you can create any number here as well. So there may be others, for example, that you want to add, and then create the URLs for. And you see now we have one for Cine Ultimate as well. So again, you don't have to do it one at a time. You can just select ones which you're looking for, or you can search for them. For example, I go to age line. I can just find it from here, select, again, create the URLs, and then that will be added to that list there. Okay, so I have URLs for each of these databases. I can download the list as well, by the way, and also copy them individually. So again, it's a handy tool that you can use to create links to various databases, resources, etc. So that's the search box and URL builders. The next one I want to show you is if I go back here, this one is the interlibrary form configuration. So you can build and customize your own interlibrary forms. So if I go to that page now, you'll see this one has been created. You can view the form in a new tab. You can copy the form URL if you need to embed that somewhere, and you can also check the settings for this as well. So you can see here, the email mode is to send all requests to the same emails. You can also send requests to different emails, and of course you can add those as well. You'll notice here, that's right, I'll leave that now. I won't save that. I can add the support email as well, yoursupport@ebsco.com, so that's the help support email. I can set the reply to address for library emails to the requester's email address, and so on. So again, one of my colleagues in France has been playing with this, as it were. So again, you can create an interlibrary form from this page. Okay, so just a detail just to show that that's also available, and I'll cancel and return. So again, you can see that there. I'll click through to it, etc. So I won't go through that now. Okay, so that's the forms management app, if you like. So going back, as I said, we'll now spend the lion's share of the time on the EBSCO configuration app. So again, we'll do that now. So let me just go back onto this page. So this is where you'll do most of the customization. So you can see I've got my account. I've got my account ID here. So this is the account we're working with. You'll see there's a configuration user guide here. If I click on that link, it's pretty comprehensive. It takes you to EBSCO Connect, and you can see different elements of the user guide. There's even FAQs page here. Where do I go also to configure product interface and authentication? And you can see different elements, managing customization across profiles, translate the configuration interface, and so on and so on. So there's a lot of information there. So going through this page, you can see we've got this dashboard, the navigation panel on the left as well, which mirrors what you'll see here as well. So initially we've got the global settings. So I click edit here. These are 3 areas that will change globally for your profile. So if you want to have a similar branding or the same branding, corporate colors, logo for all your EBSCO products, you can manage that here. Click edit, and you'll see here you've got the default or customs. You can make changes here. And notice on the right, it gives you a preview. So for example, if I was to drag this mouse here to change the colors, you'll see the toolbar changing there and the preview. Also notice the contrast ratio below. As long as there's a green border around, we're meeting current accessibility guidelines. So we go 2+. So if I drag this across, I might go a bit further out. And then if that changes to red, which it hasn't yet, there, that's an issue. So again, we want to bring it back and find a suitable color. Let's see now, not quite where I was. Okay, so again, yeah, back here. So again, as long as there's a green border there, you get that tick, then you know that you're on the right track in terms of the color scheme. So again, this will be for all your EBSCO products, and then likewise with the logo as well. or you can choose to upload an image if you prefer. Once, of course, you've made changes to this, you will need to publish it on the right-hand side of the screen. Also, within the global settings, I'll click continue, is the language and region. Now, I've seen instances when I've gone to EEM where customers still have, for example, United States appearing in country and region. So again, you might want to change that. Again, it will impact your services globally, which is fine, and likewise with the time zone as well. So again, depending on where you're based, located, you would change these accordingly. Okay, and then finally, the settings here also relates to language, but also the date format. So again, you may prefer a certain date format, not month, day, year, but day, month, year, but either with a hyphen or a stroke, etc., or without that, or you may just display the 4-digit year. So again, these are all global settings that you can change in this area. Now, if we go to Researcher on this screen now, and we go to branding, you'll notice now, while it has all profiles by default, you can go to a dedicated profile. So for example, if we go to EBSCO's research databases here, then now we can change the color scheme specifically for our EBSCO's databases for that profile. So again, you've got the same elements there, and then the logo and so on. And below that now, we can add the search input. So again, we can change this. So for example, when we have search input label, so if I click, if I go to the top of the screen, there is a preview option. If I click on that preview, it shows us how it looks currently. Okay, and I'll just exit the preview. I'll just stay there for now. So we've got the various databases here. We've got search EBSCO's research databases. So if I wanted to change this, I would go into the configuration app, scroll down, and I can remove research, and then I can save or publish this, submit. Now, when I go to preview, you'll see that word has been removed. The word research would no longer be appearing. So now it says search EBSCO's database. So I've dropped the word research, it's in real time, and it's changed. Okay, so again, you can do that from this page. Okay, likewise, you've got advanced, manage advanced logos, etc. You can again change this, you can add a URL, etc. The secondary logo, likewise, you can choose an image, upload that, you can add alt text, link URL, you want users to be able to link through to it. So again, this relates to the particular profile that I'm working with right now. Okay, so again, if I change profiles, so I went to a discovery profile, then I'll be managing the discovery interface, again with similar tools there. Again, search input label, search articles, books, journals, and more. So again, I can make those changes for that profile particularly. If we go on to search, again, I change it back to EBSCOhost. Again, I've got the new user interface. You can see the search input again. I've got search the EBSCO's databases. We changed it earlier. We've also got clear search field after search. So basically what it means is that when you are searching and you want to add another search term in the search box, whatever, then it will remove the previous search terms automatically. So again, you can customize this, make sure that's enabled. That's now on. You can also change the default search mode. In most cases, proximity is the default search mode, so searching for terms as they are near 5 words or less of each other. It can be configured in EBSCOadmin to do differently. So one thing to note, while you can change the label of these, for example, I can put phrase, okay, here, continue. I cannot change the actual configuration. That has to be done in EBSCOadmin. So you have to look up the Customize Services tab in EBSCOadmin and then go to the search mode to edit the actual proximity or precision search behind this. So I know by default it's near 5 words or less. You can change it. Okay, so again, but you can change the label. You can also decide whether something is visible or invisible, so it's hidden. So for example, with natural language search, I can go in, edit, and I can hide this and continue. So that won't appear as a search mode. So again, you can make changes to this. We have the Pico search app, which is on currently. I'll refer to that in a moment. We have the linked data reference list. So again, the references are given within the detailed record page. And we also have the subject authority options. So by default, its relevancy ranked, as you see here. You can change the term begins with. So I might look at that in a moment. And then the default landing page. So I mentioned this earlier. So essentially, if you want users to be able to see the search history when they run an advanced search, first of all, this must be the default landing page. As you scroll down, also got a citation count as well. I'll point that out to you on the website, on the page in a moment. And then the advanced search results page, again, you need advanced so that the search history will display. So advanced in both areas, the search landing page and also the results page. And then also filters there. Scroll down now. Email sharing. So again, I will cover some of these features in a moment. So email sharing is how, what default format are you going to have? So if you set custom, brief citation, detailed citation, and choose citation. So brief citation is a basic citation. Detailed citation is where you have, you select certain fields or choose citation style, which could be Harvard, etc. So you choose which of these are appropriate. Okay, so by default, it's brief citation. Number of results per page, at the moment, it's up to 50. That's going to increase soon. So again, it's 50 is maximum right now. Search results abstract, you choose. By default, this one's showing full, but I can change it to brief only, and that's recommended for most users. So again, but you can expand it. Citation style, again, Harvard referencing, I've got selected. You can change it here centrally if you want a different one. Publications authority, that gives you the link to view publications. So there's a lot there. I just published this, just show this through the preview. So I'll go to the preview now and highlight some of these features on the screen. Okay, so again, search options here. I've changed this to phrase. It was proximity originally, so it's phrase now. Okay, so that's I've made that change. We've got the publications option displaying. That's also available under a search tool, so that's shown. Okay. If we go into a record, so I just do a search here, I'm going to change the database here. Actually, I'm just going to switch to a different one, or maybe just focus on, I can search Premier for now. So let me go back here. So I've got this database open. If I just put in, let's put in sustainability. Okay, just do a keyword search here. Then you'll see we've got, if I go to the share option, so I just share one of these records, you'll see the email option provides us with brief citation as the default. So again, in the EEM, you can change it to one of these. If you go to detailed citation, it allows you to specify the fields you want to select. Okay, and if you go for the citation style, it will be what's defaulted. So again, these are things that you can change. You can change the default reference style. You can change the preferred display for this. Likewise with the result list, you'll see I've got the abstract for this article here, so I have to expand it to view it, but you can have it expanded by default when you set full text for the abstract to be displayed. So again, it's your decision whether you want to do that. If you go into a record, let's go into another one here, you'll see references. So again, this has been configured in EEM on my site. It will give you a list of cited references for this article. Okay. If we go back to the result list, then you'll see the cited by count. So that's only one there. Let's see if there's any longer ones here. Let's see. Yeah, not too many actually been cited here. So the cited by is basically an option that's going to be configured in EEM. So basically, it'll show you the article that's citing this article. In some cases, you might say cited by 43 articles, for example. Again, that's managed in EEM if you want to see that feature. Okay. So if I go back here, just see if there's anything else I needed to comment on. Let's see, we looked at the search mode. On the Pico search, yeah, just a comment here. It's, I click new search here. It might not be showing on this one. Yeah, it's there, Pico. It's typically valid for healthcare researchers, students, and so on, because it's more clinical related in terms of creating a search, as some of you I'm sure know. So again, it may not be appropriate for academic search or business source, for example. So again, it depends on the profile that you're looking at. If you have a separate profile for business school and the EBSCO databases, then this may be switched off in EEM. So again, the default is to hide it and then show custom. Okay, subject authority options. Again, if I go back into the preview here, let's close this down. If I look at the subjects feature, you'll see when you're browsing the subjects, by default, it's relevancy ranked, not term begins with. Okay, so just bear that in mind. If we do run a search, and in fact, I'm going to switch databases here, so I'm going to go to a medical database for now. So deselect, and I'll go to, let's go for Medline Ultimate. Click select here. Okay, so if I want to search now, and I'll put in the search for, let's go for heart attack or myocardial infarction. Example, if I do a title object search for this term, okay, and you'll see a suggested terms. It's a new feature, by the way, but I'm going to skip that for now. And then what you'll see is the search history pops up in the search screen. So the search is now displayed here. So again, this is the advanced search page, and we've got the advanced search result list displayed. So it gives you the search history available there. And you can see how we searched previously as well. So I can just go in and delete that one. Okay, so it's displayed there. Okay, so going back, let's see. I think that's all I want to share from this page, because I know I'm conscious of the time here. So again, we looked at some of these elements. Again, the records, the default display. So by default, you'll see 50 at most currently. That's going to change to about 500 once you sign in as a user. So again, we increase that capacity, but requiring the sign in due to data harvesting issues. Okay, so let's move on here to within configuration app, and then we'll go to the top of the screen. And you also have the navigation as well. So again, you can make changes here. So again, I'll skip through some of these things, and you can see research tools. That's the column on the left. So you've got help link display and publication finder link display. So if I go back to the interface, I'll just click new search. You can see under research tools, we've got publication finder. This is the EBSCO A to Z journal service, basically initial journal subscriptions if appropriate, if you have access to that, and also the help menu as well, which directs you to EBSCO Connect. So again, these are configurable within the app itself, as you see here. Okay, so again, if you can hide this one likewise, and you can change the label for it if you need to as well. Product experience, so I'll continue here. Again, if you've got any questions, comments, please feel free to post it in the Teams chat, or if you want me to unmute you, I can select the, or you can select the raise hand icon. So again, some more here. Now, there's a custom banner, custom alert banner. So this could be potentially useful for yourselves if you need to inform students of early closure of the library, or particular IT issues, whatever it might be. So you can add a custom alert banner. So, I'll put, this library will close early on the 24th of June for maintenance, or for maintenance, for example. And I can put more text in there in terms of the exact time, etc. And then I can save this. If I scroll down, validate that, click submit, go to preview, and then you'll see it displayed across the top of the screen in a moment. So you can see here this gray banner with the text there in white. Okay, so it displays for as soon as someone logs into this, they'll see that custom alert banner. Again, it's free text. You can add other things there that you need to make students be aware of. Maybe you've got a visiting dignitary, or again, there could be some IT issues, or a weather warning, as we're in this heat wave right now, for example. You can use it in that way. So just free text there. And then, of course, once they want to continue, they've seen it, they've noted it, they can just close it down and just move on with the search. So again, that's an option there. More like this is a recommendation setting. So again, this is where if I go back to the interface, if I go to recent activities to look at some of the articles that we brought up earlier, there's none. So that hasn't saved it because I switched databases here. So what I'll do here, I just put, again, let's put chronic kidney disease. Gets right. Kidney disease. Okay, just for now. Again, I'm going to tick this box, click search. Just wait, that's complete. So if you scroll down, but just that full text here as well, by the way. Okay. And maybe go for a particular time frames. Let's go for the last 12 months. So recent articles. Okay. Then what I can do is look at the references. Okay, and you'll see here we've got several options, the full text there, access options there, more like this. This is the recommendation setting. So basically what it normally will do is give up to 5 recommendations of articles that relate that similar metadata that potentially could be useful. Now, see this one's in French, as this one is. So again, quite a few there in French for whatever reason, Spanish as well, but I'm using a different profile that other colleagues have set up. But basically the point is it provides users with other articles. So again, more like this is enabled in EBSCOadmin. Now, let me just do here, I'm going to do another filter here, English language. Okay, I'll apply that. Another feature that's not visible in EBSCO Experience Manager, which may be of interest, and that's something which we can enable ourselves, is the AI Insights options. That's AI powered. So basically, if I select this button, a large language model will generate 2 to 5 bullet points summarizing the text of the full text. So only works the full text publications and those which you have publisher permissions for. But it will give you a summary, a bulleted summary of the article. There's a disclaimer there that, you know, we don't expect users not to read the article itself. So the article is available in PDF or online full text here. But when you see AI Insights, you click on that button and it will generate the summary below the actual record. Again, the abstract in some cases is still available, but again, it only works with longer full text articles for which we have publisher permissions. So again, that's something you need to request through the EBSCO account team. It's not something I can enable for you right now, and I cannot show that in EEM, but it is enabled behind the scenes. Okay, so scrolling through here, some other dashboard settings there. Actually, here it is. So this is what you'll see. And I don't believe you'll see this yourself as administrators. I think this is what we'll see our end. So again, you can see here the setting and it's kind of on. Okay. So again, it may be something that's off limits to yourself directly, but we can enable that unless there's been a change that I'm not aware of. But you can see it visibly on the EEM that their option is there. Okay. People pages, this is basically where you can obtain more information about the authors. So if I go back to my desktop or Medline search, and you'll see there are articles by authors and they're in green there. So what I'll do here, if I click on one of these, you'll see the people page for that author. So it gives us their total works cited by count, co-authors, so you can view those in on the page here. It tells us the disciplines they cover, the topics they've recently covered, and also their last known institution. So this is using Open Alex data and also on occasion ORCID or Crossref as well. So again, there's information on these authors, these people pages. So in this instance, it's been enabled. You can also send feedback on it and you can view the works by that author below as well. So again, that's an option that can be switched on in EBSCO Experience Manager. So I'll skip through the others here. I know there's quite a lot to cover. So I won't cover all those for now. So what I'll do is go to the top of the screen and we'll now briefly look at language and region. So again, if it's not been changed globally already, then you can change the default settings. We've got English here, also United Kingdom. So if you're in Ireland, you can switch to Ireland here. It should be up here somewhere. Yeah, Ireland's there. Okay. Time zone, of course, is there as well, and official language support as well. Okay. So I don't know if we've got any questions or comments yet, but I've got just a couple more things to show you quickly. So Publication Finder. So if you subscribe to Publication Finder, this is the front end of the Full-Text Finder service. So it allows users to search for and browse your Full-Text publications, be it ebooks, e-journals, videos, etc. So other media besides the ones I mentioned, ebooks and e-journals, and then you can configure that accordingly, and that allows you to change the branding, the language, the search and browse functionality, the settings, labeling, and so on. I'm not going to all the details here. If you need more help with this, if it applies to you, then we can provide that support or direct you to information. So again, branding is there. Again, you can go in, you make sure you're on the right profile. You got the same sort of screen, more as the screen that you saw earlier for the other profiles. Again, search and browse features as well, how you're searching, what default fields are shown, etc., and so on. And also, you will see the boxes where you can choose from the drop-down menus, etc., as well. So again, these options that can configure the Publication Finder search service. Likewise, with Full-Text Finder, the link resolver, there's also the branding, the language as well, the settings that may need to be configured as well here. And then finally, additional tools also. Okay. So this is the additional tools menu in the top navigation bar related to Full-Text Finder. And then finally, if we go down further, you'll see integrations here. I mentioned the third-party integrations. So again, you can see API links there shown on this demonstration site, including Koha, LibKey, etc., WMS. You see the chats there as well, LibChat, RefChatter, and also cover images as well. So again, there are things that can be added here as well. So you can see, you can filter the integrations, okay? And then also we've got the ILS integrations as well, okay? So again, I'm going to go into all those details. The main thing was to show the config app with the customizable features there for EBSCO databases particularly. Okay, so let me switch back to my PowerPoint. So we've got the live demonstration. We do have our obviously ample training support. So I mentioned the features comparison earlier in the session. So you've got the EBSCOadmin and EBSCO Experience Manager comparison. That's a handout that you can download, keep it handy, etc. And also, again, there's more information there about Experience Manager if you need to share that with colleagues, maybe you're delegating. And there's also, from EBSCO Connect, there's also a link to videos. That'll take you to this page, and then you can select the EM or EBSCO Experience Manager tile, not to be confused with ECM, which is EBSCO Host Collection Manager, and that relates to ebooks. But EM will take you to further videos as well, detailing various elements that you may want to check out, etc. Otherwise, you've got EBSCO Connect, connect.ebsco.com, the main support portal, which features tutorials, handouts, also updates to the interface as well. And within that, if you sign in as a user for EBSCO Connect, you can request or create an account, and then that means you can sign into it. And there's a case management system that you can use to submit queries to our support team directly. So we generally now direct customers to this site because this will log your requests, whether it's an enhancement, a service issue. It will do the same for your colleagues. If you each have an EBSCO Connect account, they are linked together by institution. However, you do have your own account to submit requests, but also you can see what's been sent through to our account team. So again, for the support team. So again, it's useful using that. It also gives you access to EBSCO Academy as well. So for additional online training, recently scheduled some more webinars for July. So again, you can book those or book a consultation or a phone call with me as well. Or if necessary, if you need to arrange a customized session, you can do that as well. Ideally, with a group of library staff rather than individuals, but again, depending on what the need is. So thank you for attending today. I hope it's been informative, useful, helpful for your use of EEM going forward with regard to the EBSCOhost databases in particular. Thank you.